What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast here. That's right, the only sports podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there.
How's it going?
How we doing today, Casino?
Pretty good. I'm a ball of energy today. I'm feeling pretty great.
You know what? Me too, because we had a low energy podcast last episode, and now we're both hyped. NFL comes back this Thursday. Today is our.
And that's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a very
good that might be the conference championship game.
Yeah. And we have, not just NFL, but we're going to do our NFL hot takes, our picks for the playoffs, our picks for MVP, our picks for the Super Bowl.
This is a loaded show, my friend.
Also some over/under changes. This is your last chance to make changes, Casino.
I think I'm pretty set.
I have 5 that I think are going to be real. Four of them are going to be hot. One of them is
so. Are those 4 of your 5 hot takes for this show?
No. Actually, my changes could be hot takes because I think I'm going to upset. Some people with my playoff picks, but I'm just trying to think outside of the box.
Comments are going to be hot. Let's go.
We're getting some hot comments. Keep them coming. We love them. Even when I argue with you, we love them. But as I said, this is the only sports podcast. And before we dive into our final NFL previews of the year, let's get to some other NFL news. And we'll just touch on this briefly because there's really not much to say about it. It's just a crazy story. But rookie wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers was robbed at gunpoint and then shot in San Francisco. The craziest thing is he will apparently be back within 4 weeks. So he will be back within a month after being shot. This is another Brian Robinson Jr. story. You're on mute, Casino. I don't know if he will be back in a month, but apparently that is according to the New York Times right now, he's going to miss minimum 4 games after being shot during an attempted robbery. So,
and did you hear what they were trying to steal too? They were trying to steal his watch. Like it was like a Rolex watch or something. And it was a 17-year-old kid. A 17-year-old kid shot him. And apparently it was, from what I'm reading, it was in the chest, which is insane that he's able to come back after a shot to the chest, 6 weeks after happening.
Well, also he's apparently just, texting teammates and talking about games and stuff from his hospital bed, which is obviously great. You never want to see this kind of stuff happen.
Right. But isn't that crazy that, he hasn't even played a snap in the NFL yet and he gets shot?
As someone, we've already discussed this on the show, my politics are all over the place, but as someone who's been to San Francisco and Portland, 1A and 1B of 2 of the grossest places I've ever been in my life. We went to
So you're starting to upset people right out the gate. I love it. Let's go.
We went to a family trip in the middle of San Francisco in apparently they're business district or whatever it was, and it was a really nice hotel, and literally we had the front desk lady being you guys might want to be back at your hotel by nightfall, and we were like, why? And then she was like, it just gets a little unsavory around here, and we were like, what the fuck does that what does that mean? And then we literally walked outside and it just looked like a post-apocalyptic area, especially at night. It was terrifying. So for him to be walking around San Francisco at night and get shot, not surprising at all from the 3 times I've been to San Francisco. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I've never been to San Fran. The only reason I would want to go to the Bay Area is just for the food. I hear the food is outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
It apparently some of the best in the States / world is in San Francisco, and I see it on shows all the time. So that would be the only reason I want to go there.
No, the food is great. And once you go, you see the zigzag road. All the tourist spots are great. It's where all the hotels are and stuff that you're Yeah. Portland, on the other hand, grossest place I've ever been to in my life, worst food I've ever had in my life. There's nothing in Portland worth going to Portland for.
My MLS team is in Portland, and I like
Ugh.
that. I like that stadium because it's built on like into the ground, which is pretty cool. But
Okay, well then go there and bring your own food, bring your own lunch, because I've never had worse food in my life.
I just stay with my friends. I
Consistently
have
across
friends
the
who
board.
live. I have friends who live outside of Portland in one of the cities. I don't remember, but
Ugh.
yeah,
But
fair
yeah.
enough.
So
Next topic.
best wishes to Ricky Pearsall. Looks like
Yeah.
he'll be back this season, which when he steps on the field, I'm assuming he'll get standing ovation and
You
yeah,
think you'll
it'll
have
be
bodyguards?
no. Maybe if it's
do
a
you think
home
like
game.
do you think like his defensive? I'm being silly. Do you think his like defensive line will walk out next to him?
I mean, they should. It'll be
Yeah.
the Brian Flores thing.
Yeah. Thank you. That's I was trying to see if you would catch the call back there.
All right, let's go
All right, moving on.
let's go from one criminal to two others, and that is DirectTV versus Disney Casino, and just making friends
That was
all
a great
over the
segue.
place.
That was
5
a great
minutes.
segue.
And that is now this I actually learned from personal experience, Casino, because as we've both said on this podcast before, we both work in bars that play sports. So after the LSU USC game that aired on ABC, I was like, hey, let's see the highlights of other college football games and what they're saying about this LSU USC game. So I go to turn my DirectTV TV in the bar to ESPN, and there's a nice little message that pops up, no ESPN, and says that there's not going to be any ESPN channels on DirectTV because they are apparently in contract dispute with Disney over the rights for. We still got ABC. I thought it was all Disney affiliates, but apparently it's mostly ESPN.
Well, mostly ESPN, Disney. I believe Disney's off as well. I thought ABC was supposed to be off as well, but I think locally, I think like the national ABC stuff is going to be gone, but like Good Morning America and stuff.
I don't think they can take off like a basic cable channel. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that's what it is. But like we were on the depression. Like I was driving into work. I heard about it on the drive-in last night. I was like, or the other night, I was like, I'm not going to be able to watch the LSU USC game. I was looking forward to that game, and it turned out to be a wonderful game. That was a really fun game.
In a minute.
Yeah. One of my favorite games of the entire weekend for college ball. But I was just like, oh great, I'm not going to be able to watch it. I was gonna pull it up on my ESPN Plus, which I do like that ESPN Disney. What they decided to do is normally that you only get like the knockoff games for ESPN Plus, but they were like, nope, we're going to put all of the U.S. Open, all of the regular ESPN and everything available on ESPN Plus. I think this backfired on DirectTV. I mean, I don't like Disney. I love Disneyland. Is Disney as a corporation evil as shit? Sure. Yes, I agree. But will I still go to Disneyland and wear my Mickey ears and have fun as shit because I just close a blind eye to it? Sure. All day. You know?
Yeah. Well, this is not a Disney problem.
But
just like
Disney
it's not a DirectTV problem.
But fair. DirectTV made it way worse. Where if they would have just cut coverage all day and they're just like, hey, you have all day to figure out, spend the $20 or whatever it is for the bundle, or just ESPN Plus is like not even $10. You want to do that. But people like 15, 20 minutes before the game, whatever it was, 30 minutes, and you cut all ESPN, people are scrambling. They have parties. They have this. They have that.
It was during the fourth round of the U.S. Open and 10 minutes before the start of the LSU USC game.
So 15 minutes. It was deliberate. Just insane. Yeah. It was deliberate. And that's where it's going to backfire on DirectTV is, if you just had a dispute with them and you want to be like, hey, all right, we're cutting it for the whole day. We're starting it now. Figure it out. We're sorry. Our condolences to, anybody trying to watch us having big parties. Most everybody that's going to have a big party is fine scrounging up $20 to watch the damn game on ESPN Plus. Yeah. But, now people are having to try. I'm sure the servers were just overloaded And this is going to backfire on DirectTV because now everybody's got ESPN or ESPN Plus to watch that game if they don't have, their ABC and whatnot. So hell, I mean, like, I don't have basic cable and all that stuff. I don't have a satellite or anything. No. It's all streaming service for me.
Yeah.
So backfire on DirectTV. They were shit for doing it the way they did it, but they need to figure something out. They're going to need to figure something out. Like,
well, no,
fast.
What I was saying is this isn't on DirectTV. This isn't on Disney. This is on our politicians who make it so all these giant mega corporations can just own everything. So then when they
the Monopoly, we're playing real life Monopoly.
Yeah, Disney just owns. I mean, everybody's seen that chart by now where it says what Disney owns, and it's a giant map, and it's like all this random shit, and you're like, why? Like, that's why I was so pissed off when Disney bought Fox, and then everybody was like, oh, yay, now like X-Men can be in Marvel movies. And then it's like, yeah, that's cool, but also we already had X-Men movies. So what like, you're getting it where it's like, oh, we got Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like, that's cool, but Fox also could have done that.
Yeah, Disney bought like, Lucasfilm,
yeah.
And so we had Star Wars, and then we hit, like, I would probably say 30% of the Star Wars content that Disney has done I've really enjoyed, and then 70% I just can't stand.
I would even say you're generous saying 30%, but I get what you're saying. Like, yeah,
I like the couple animated. I like Rebels. I like the Clone Wars, which were both Disney. Mandalorian was good. Andor was good.
Andor might be the best thing.
Yeah. And then I like Ahsoka because that was just Rebels the next season, but just they did a live action instead of
but that's the issue. It's like our kids are gonna be living in a world where it's like there's Disney, there's Apple, and there's
Amazon.
Amazon, and it's like all three of those things will just control everything. And then it's like, oh, hey, if Disney doesn't like this thing over here, guess what? It's done.
It's the monopoly of the world, man. It's insane. Dude, all
Disney
those monocle wearing motherfuckers, or not monocle wearing motherfuckers. There's that whole debate: was the monopoly guy wearing a monocle or not?
But yeah, so this is just, again, this is two evil corporations arguing against each other. I'm assuming it'll get resolved by Monday Night Football, because if DirectTV just doesn't have Monday Night Football the entire year, that's going to end up hurting DirectTV more than Disney. Because like you said, people just go to ESPN Plus.
But now do you think Disney like has higher demands now?
Oh, well, why wouldn't they? They have all the channels. They own everything. Like, this also includes, and
then so do you think with DirectTV being as dumb as they are, look how they handled the Sunday ticket thing. I mean, that went up in smoke. Do you think they're really going to be educated enough? I mean, obviously they're smart people. Like, they own a fucking $1 billion business, whatever.
Well, I mean, cable is dying, so this might be the last grasp of them trying to get their money before the Titanic.
That's a good possibility. Like,
before they hit the iceberg.
Yeah.
But
I hope
fuck both.
There was enough room on that table on that fucking door.
Let's go, Casino, over to college football week 1. We didn't really preview it because we've been focused on so much of the NFL, but we want to start getting into other sports, just topic wise. I know we have in the past, and then we kind of came back and it was all NFL, but that doesn't mean we left out college football. We just didn't.
And we will get in touch on, we just got to get back into the swing of things when it came to sports. We were, gone for a bit. We weren't feeling it again. We had to figure out our lives, but we will get into like the baseball, the NBA, the hockey coming up. Which quick, sad note was respects to Johnny Gaudreau's family and friends and all of the teammates that he's played with. So if you didn't hear about that story, one very famous hockey player picked up in the 4th round against the Flames years ago. Him and his brother were bike riding the other night, and they got hit by a. Did we already talk about this Johnny Gaudreau story? I think so. Did we talk about the Johnny Gaudreau story? Oh, he's coming back. We talked about Johnny Gaudreau, right?
Not on the show. No,
not on the show.
You and I talked about it on the phone.
But yeah, so him and his brother, they got hit by a drunk driver. So don't drink and drive, please. truly just don't. There's so many services out there. But yeah, him and his brother were killed, and it was right. It was the day before their sister's wedding. So like the story is one of the most horrific sports stories I've heard in a very long time.
Yeah.
Just like every aspect of it. And he has like 2 kids, like under age of 3. Like it was just all in all horrible. So, little, prayers go out to his family and all of his friends. And
yeah, that was
just wanted to throw it out there, talking
Yeah.
about hockey there quick. But we are going to start getting into all of our sports, especially coming into October now, when everything's going to be awesome and great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So let's get into that college football season that just started started 2 weekends ago, but the main weekend was this weekend, and
we'll get to Florida State in a minute.
Oh, it was
one of the
out.
topics.
Oh yeah, it was outstanding. I had a wonderful college football weekend. How about yourself?
Yeah, so I watched Florida State, Georgia Tech, which again, we'll talk about Florida State in a minute. I watched what is it? I watched Georgia absolutely annihilate Clemson. Oof. And then I saw Roddy White, the former Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, go on Twitter and say that Clemson lost because they had too many white guys on the field. And you know what? Really made me laugh. But when you watch that game, you're like, I mean, the kinda, but I also tried to watch Penn State, West Virginia, but that game was one of the ones I was flipping around to. The 2 I wanted to talk about, Casino, we just alluded to it.
We're going to talk about 3. Just saying.
Yeah. So I want to let's put LSU and USC in its own category, Florida State in its own category, and then right here. The only other one I want to talk about, I know you want to talk about UNLV.
Well, also I want to talk about Notre Dame, and that one I can wrap up quick too. So
I did watch that game too. But the one game that I watched that I was fascinated by was, did you watch any Oregon and Idaho?
I did.
Man, there was points in that game where I was like, is Oregon going to lose to Idaho? That would have been a Michigan?
Well, that's what I thought of. That's kind of what I thought about Texas A&M with the Notre Dame game. I was like, is Notre Dame going to lose to Texas A&M? Like,
yeah, but at least Texas A&M is in like a power conference.
Fair.
Like
Okay,
Idaho, that is. Why am I blanking on that? What team did?
But
Michigan
but
lose
Oregon's
on
not
the block kick?
But Oregon's not super hot this year. They're not going to be the best team this year.
No, but it's still Oregon, and they still are. I mean, they're now in the. I mean, all the stupid conference name changes. What are they in now?
I don't know. I'm not going to pay attention until everything settles.
Yeah, I don't understand the conferences now at all. I also don't understand why we don't have a North, East, South, and West conference, and then just break all the teams in those 2 things.
They might start doing that with the college football playoffs. But anyway, all right. So let's get to your first. Yeah. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, also Oregon is ranked number 3 in the nation. So they're still
okay, sorry, my bad. This was showing that they weren't.
Yeah. They're still ranked, but then again, I hate how we just rank teams before the season even starts.
So they were 3, and now it looks like they're 7th is what it's showing.
I mean, deservedly so. They did nothing in that game to make them move up or stay. The only possible thing they could have done is move down.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, as I'm looking at this, they do not have a number next to their name against the Idaho game, but everything else, even the preseason, they were ranked. So this is weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would say though, after watching this weekend, I think Texas and Georgia are my 2 favorites, and then I kind of like Notre Dame and maybe USC. That USC team looked really damn good.
They did.
But go on with what you want to mention, Casino, before we move on to LSU.
About
UNLV.
Oh, I mean, well, first let's talk about Notre Dame and Texas A&M.
There you go.
So it came down to the wire. Notre Dame was able to get a late touchdown in the 4th quarter, and then they did end up getting another 3 points on top of that. So that 23-13 victory over Texas A&M, it is not really what you think it was. It was a very close game. And with Notre Dame beating Texas A&M, they don't really have much of a. They do have USC, but they don't have much of hard schedule. They're going to probably be favored in every single game from here on out. So I mean, yes, they have Louisville and Georgia Tech, who are currently ranked, but I don't expect either one of those two teams to stay super high up. Their last game of the season, November 30th, is against USC, but they're probably going to be favored in every single game from here on out. So they're probably just a shoo-in and a walk-in for that playoff spot already, especially not being a part of a conference and just being, the floating whatever they are. So, I mean, Notre Dame, after that win, I think they've pretty much solidified themselves in the college football playoffs, because even if they lose 2 games, whether they lose to Louisville, Georgia Tech, say they lose one of those 2 games and then they lose against USC, those are decent teams. They're going to make the college football playoffs. So like they're in. But I can't believe they almost lost that game. So then moving on to what I'm wearing right here. What's up? Yeah, I got this apple for you because I knew you were going to ask for it.
And then, looking forward to next week. I really like what I saw out of Texas. I really liked what I saw out of Michigan, and they're the game of the week in week 2, like Texas at Michigan. That's going to be an insane game.
And so anyway, what I was going to get about UNLV and why I'm decked out. Obviously, I'm an alumni. I love my school. I love UNLV. Born and raised here in Vegas, but they handled Houston in Houston, which Houston's not going to be the greatest team this year, but they are a recognizable name in college football. On the road to start the season, and outside of, I think Houston scored with like 2 minutes left to go in the game. UNLV dominated that game. And last season, UNLV was flirting with the top 25 for the majority of the season. Towards the end of the year, they lost 3 games. They lost their conference championship against Boise. So they had their chances, but they burn out towards the end of the season. One thing that they really, really needed to focus on was their secondary, and they had so many transfers coming in. The defense was outstanding. There was a pick 6 in that game. They almost held Houston to like 40. It was like 40 yards. I don't remember what the stats were, but like 40 yards in the first half. It was insane. So there's a lot of analysts out there that have UNLV making the final spot for the college playoffs.
That'd be
like interchanging out with like Boise State as a possibility, or like NC State, one of those fringe top 25 teams. But UNLV, just people talking about UNLV and having the possibility of making the college playoffs with 2 returning All-American players with Ricky White and De Jesus. So like, I'm really excited about UNLV this season, more so than last year, which was their first 10-win season in like 40 years in my lifetime. So I'm really excited that that's a possibility. So week 3, big game. A lot of people will be watching this because they're going up against Kansas in Kansas, who's currently now ranked 19th. This is a repeat of last year's bowl game, which Kansas won by a couple scores, but UNLV, being in a bowl game for the first time in a good while, really showed a lot of fight with their first year new coach. So I'm really excited for that. Repeat game. Yeah, rematch. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. And
we gotta go.
If UNLV
go to one of these games.
Yeah, if UNLV can beat Kansas in week 3, and they should win their next game at home, it's against Utah Tech. They're supposed to blow them out of the water this weekend for their home game. But if they can beat Kansas in Kansas, and they start their season 3-0, one against Houston on the road and one against Kansas on the road, the media, I can't wait. So I'm really excited for that. Go UNLV. College football's back. I love it. So let's talk about, we got 2 more games that we want to talk about. Are we going to go LSU, USC? Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you for having that loaded.
You're welcome. So USC LSU was the Sunday night marquee game. I also really like what college football did this year, where it was like you had the marquee Thursday game, marquee Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they did a Monday night game as well. So
like I said, I was excited for this year's college football layout. I'm very excited about college football this year.
So LSU won against USC in Allegiant Stadium in our hometown of Las Vegas, where we're
We
recording from
were
right
busy
now.
at our bar. Ooh,
Yeah.
were we? Before and
It,
after the game. Oh.
so they won 27-20. The controversy coming out of this game is basically what led to LSU going with winning with the go-ahead score was a late targeting penalty that put LSU in range so they can just run the ball right in. USC tries to come back. Guy throws an interception last play of the game, ends the game. So first, everybody loves controversy, Casino. Was it the right call?
Was that the one where he caught it in the end zone and got
No.
blasted?
This was the guy who caught it. The LSU receiver caught it in the end zone, and the USC guy hit his helmet with his head. Like within the last minute of the game.
Yeah, I thought that's what I'm talking about, right? Anyway.
It wasn't in the end zone though.
Oh, then maybe I missed that one. I was working, so let me look that one up real quick. But there was another targeting in that game which hit helmet to helmet. So maybe.
Well, I'll tell you what, the thing with USC the past couple years is last year when it was Caleb Williams, it was just like all there is Caleb Williams. We have nothing else. So if he doesn't win us the game, we lose, right? And there were some games where he just played hero ball and you were like, they won solely because of him. But the issue with USC since Pete Carroll left and since
I did see
era,
that. I did see that one, and I agree. He led with the helmet. I know he had tried to have his shoulder down, but
he clearly launched himself. It was helmet to
he
helmet.
Launched. Yep,
that's going to get called 100 out of 100.
I did see that one. Yeah, you launched yourself towards them. You tried to lean with the shoulder, but you did make contact, helmet to helmet. They are cracking down on that. I mean, hell, in the UNLV game I watched, one of the UNLV players didn't mean to inadvert, like helmet to helmet. He got ejected. You're going to see that so much this season. They are going to eject a lot of people for helmet to helmet contact. But hell of a catch, by the way. Like one-handed. There was a lot of great catches. I don't know if he was the one that did it earlier too, but it's, in my opinion, up there for one of the greatest football catches of the season already, and like will be by the end of the year.
Like
it was
the
a one-handed double coverage catch
or whatever. Yeah.
Like with double coverage, like outstanding.
Do you under?
I do think that was targeting.
Over under 5 years where everybody's wearing a Guardian cap. Over under 5 years, because I think at this rate it's going to be under. I think you already have players saying they're going to wear it in games. I think it's going to be mandatory the next 3 years, especially if they do have evidence that it protects like your head. 100% that's going to be in. Yeah. Anyway, but
great game. It was wild.
Yeah. The point I was making was with all the USC teams since the Pete Carroll era, the thing that you would always hear is USC is West Coast soft. They can't play in the SEC because they don't hit. And in this USC game, some of the safety hits that they were getting on the LSU running back were fucking brutal. Well, I mean they were just getting leveled.
That's been the talk forever is like the West Coast teams can hang with, the East Coast or the Southeast teams. Like bullshit. Get it out of your head. Like I hate that. Like that's just homers being homers. They're not really understanding. And I'm so glad this playoff is in effect, because I guarantee you there's going to be some upsets. I guarantee you, because there's going to be some of those teams like in the SEC and whatnot that'll be like, we are the best. We don't have to worry about it. And then they are going to there's going to be like one play that rattles them and they're going to choke up and seize up. And the West Coast team or the Midwest team, whoever it's going to be, they're going to take advantage of that. I guarantee. I can't wait for the playoffs. But he's going to do it.
But this was a great game. And then my favorite thing of the game was the clip I sent you, Casino, of Brian Kelly at the press conference afterwards. I've never seen a less authentic person in my life, like trying to fake that he's mad. And the shit he was saying, first off, it sounded like bullshit. It's weird when a college coach starts blaming the players. And then it's like, LSU was really good before you became the coach there, right? Like they are a really good franchise who has won a bunch of national titles.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get into it today. I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, man.
Yeah. But him just being at the press conference, being like, "Man, I'm so mad. I'm so angry," and like pounding the desk, and it's just like you could tell everybody in the room was like, "Oh, okay, so like, what does that mean? Like, who cares if you're mad? You lost, and also that entire third quarter, your team was outplayed, like on every facet of the field." They lost because the third quarter, LSU was just like, let's take the third quarter off, and then we'll come back at the fourth quarter. And then turns out they didn't do anything else in the fourth quarter. It was just,
moving on.
But that was a great game. The other team, Casino, we need to talk about is Florida State, and it says it right there. They are in a free fall because I saw this morning.
They're fucked.
For the first time since 2008, a top 10 AP preseason team has dropped out of the top 25 entirely after week 2. So they were top 10 going into last night's game. They lose to Boston State, and then not only lose, get embarrassed 28-13 against Boston College. And then in week 0, which was a weird thing, I don't like that.
I don't get it.
Florida State lost 24-21 against Georgia Tech. Both those losses make Florida State 0-2, falling from a top 10 preseason team to now completely out of the top 25.
And not just that, I think that puts them completely out of the college playoffs.
Oh, 100%.
They lost against 2 bad teams. I mean, go Boston College. Whoop, whoop. I know I'm from Vegas, but the ties to Boston, as you guys all know. So whoop, whoop, go Boston College. Hell yeah, that was awesome. They were outworked. Like, I saw the highlights of that game. They were outworked. Like, it was a joy to watch.
Yeah,
it was a joy to
watching that game, there was never a second you thought Florida State was the better team.
And so their chances of making the playoffs this year, they're gone. In my opinion, gone. They 100%. Start the season next year against Bama, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
they're screwed next year. Like this. Oh, dude. If you're a fan of them, Florida State, you just go hide. Just go hide in your Florida swamp or whatever it is, and just hide away.
Yeah, especially when they finished the season last year. If you remember, they were the 6th ranked team in the nation, and they got annihilated in the Orange Bowl, 63-3 against Georgia. So, I mean, also their schedule, there's no gimmies now at this point. They play Notre Dame, they play Miami, who had a great week. They play Clemson, who they just got killed by Georgia, but what I still think Clemson is capable of killing Florida State with the performance Florida State's put on. They play SMU, which has a good offense. I mean, this is going to be, I think if you're a Florida State fan, this is going to be a rough year. But Casino, anything else on college football?
That's 15 minutes over what we said we were going to do.
Good first week, and week 2 has some good looking games.
I'm
Texas
excited.
Michigan is going to be so good.
Oh yeah.
Let's move on.
Like I said, week 3 is going to be good. I can't wait for the UNLV Kansas game. I think that's going to be one of the better games of week 3. And that's not me being a homer. That's a rematch game of last year's bowl game. Would be great. UNLV's on the fringe of making the top 25 in the playoffs. Like, it's going to be really, really fun.
Also, some of these games we got to go to because most of these tickets are $50 and you can get sideline seats.
Yeah, like you got to think about that. We were going to go. The wife and I were going to go this weekend to the Utah game, Utah Tech, whatever it is. The issue is parking. Like, we wanted to take the kids, but there's no parking outside of it. Was like $80 for one lot. That's like the farthest lot. That's in still the stadium, like parking lot, but it's the farthest walk there. And I'm like,
dude, just park at the Orleans and do an Uber.
With the kids,
Orleans is free.
We can't do it with the kids.
I mean, you can't if they say you can't, but we do all the time.
I'm not going to take my under 1-year-old in an Uber with no car seat.
Hey, you want to see that game or not?
I don't. But if it was the Kansas game, maybe.
Just quick.
I might strap the kids on the roof. I don't know.
quick over and under changes. You said you were locking in your over-unders.
I mean, I don't know what they are. You would have to read them off to me, but I think I'm set. So you don't need to do that. I'm going to go with it.
5 changes based on my playoff picks. Again, I was just going to go chalk with my playoffs.
I'll just pull it up now.
Over under changes. I'm just going to go through them quickly, Casino, because my rationale will be when we get to talking about playoffs. 49ers, I'm changing from over to under 11.5. Bengals, I'm changing from over to under 10.5. I'm putting the Jags switching from under to over 8.5. I tried to stick with your Patriots. I've given up. I'm going with the under for them, 4.5. And this one will shock you, and it'll lead right into our hot takes because it will be my hottest take. I'm going Chiefs under 11.5.
Okay.
Let's go.
So Segu. As I'm doing that, you Segu to it. I'm going to check it here. So boom.
Seguing to our hot takes right now. And actually, we have 5 of them each. My number 1 ties into our playoff pick, so that'll be a nice segue there. But Casino, I put C5 for Casino's hot takes, WF or W5.
I got to see what the hot takes were. I remember writing them out. I remember writing them out to you. I just got to remember what they were.
Casino's first hot take is that people will love the new kickoff that he hates. So why do you think that, Casino?
Why do I think? Because you're going to see all the players at one time in the same spot go. I mean, what is one of the favorite? If you watch rugby, a lot of people love rugby. They love the scrum. They love when everybody's like all clashed together. It's anticipation. It's you're waiting for it. So when you already see players coming down the field, it's already a mess, and you're like, there's the kickoff guy. Who's going to find a hole? But with everybody lined up right next to each other, it's basically just a Sparta fucking Persian, Sparta Persian kind of thing, like where it's literally just 2 teams from sideline to sideline lined up, smacking into each other. And if the running back is able to get through one hole, or the returner get through one hole, it's over. So I feel like that's going to be exciting for people, because I think there will be higher chances of run backs. I will think there's also going to, because all it takes is one hole and you're good.
Yeah.
And they might have maybe one person in the kicker, in the back. So you got to, in open field, get past 2 people. I really think that it's going to open up a lot more scoring, which people always love scoring. And I don't like it, because I like the idea of the field spread out. I like, me personally, visually trying to see routes for the the returners to take. Like, they could go this route, and then they would have to move here. You have this defender lined up here, so that'll be a natural block, et cetera, et cetera. For my eyes and how I like to analyze the game and the kickoffs and just games in general, I do it in hockey all the time. I'm just glued to the ice watching plays happen, and my wife's like, they're not even in the neutral zone yet, and I'm like, it's gonna do this and this, and then it happens and they score, and she's like, how did you see that 30 seconds before they scored? And I was like, I don't know.
And you're like, you should listen to our sports podcast. You would know
my
process.
I process it.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. I think people are going to take to it because it's going to be a big scrum, and there's potential for higher scoring. That's just my thought.
I actually was, I didn't realize I was gonna, but I piggybacked off your kickoff hot take with my own, which is people will forget about the new kickoff by week 4. It will be a thing that is talked ad nauseum for the first 2 to 3 weeks. And then by week 4, nobody will mention it. Nobody will care. It'll just be a part of the game, and everybody will move on. When we saw the first preseason game, we were like, oh my God, this is outrageous. I saw 9,000 posts online about it. And then by the second preseason game, I didn't see a single tweet about the new kickoff. So by week 1, everybody's going to be freaking out about it. By week 2, there'll still be people like, about that kickoff. Week 3, nobody will meant like a couple here and there. Week 4, you will not see one single post about it. Nobody will care. Everybody will forget about it. It was for safety, and like the past 5 years, the kickoff return touchdowns have gone down each year. So this is
It's gonna
supposed
tighten
to,
it up.
yeah, this is supposed to bring that number up, make it less dangerous. Everybody will forget about it and stop caring about it. And then we'll hear about it in the Super Bowl because that's when more people watch than, who haven't watched all season. That'll be the first time most people actually see it. And they'll be like, what is this?
I read, by the way, I'm saying Super Bowl. If I read it right, I didn't look into the article, but there was more people supposedly at the LSU USC game than there was last year's Super Bowl.
Oh, well, probably because the tickets were $10,000 to go see it in Raider Stadium for the Super Bowl. I mean, but that's not surprising. Casinos.
I really love what you sent me, by the way.
Casino's next hot take is, and he's been harping on this. You got a lot of flack, Casino, in the comments for your Lions take last week, where you were saying that they're going to be screwed out of a game. So you doubled down on it and said that.
How do you not think they're going to be screwed out of a game? We've seen it already happen in that. Oh my God. Anyway.
So Casino's next hot take is that a drop tackle call will ruin a game this season. Are you willing to say more than one?
Oh yeah, but it's going to happen in games, but I guarantee you there's going to be a pivotal game towards the end of the season or in the beginning wild card round or divisional round where there is going to be a late call for a hip drop tackle, and it is going to change. It's going to give a first down. It's going to, get them somebody into field goal range, whatever it is.
Reason why this Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl.
I don't have the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, just saying, but there is, it blows my mind that I'm getting flack for this in the comment section, because how can you not? It is, doing the comparison with NBA again, almost every single call by rule, like every play, there can be a foul by rule in the NBA. With this hip drop tackle, there's going to be a lot of like questionable calls because a lot of people do fall with their weight to tackle people.
Yeah.
Well,
especially what
is considered dropping your hip. To my knowledge, how I read it is using your body weight to bring down a player. So that doesn't mean it has to be where you have them and you throw your legs out from underneath yourself and you fall on your ass first. It is how I read it. Your weight takes them down. If you do that in any way, which that's how you tackle people. Unless you just trip them up, you tackle them down by using your strength and your weight.
Yeah.
So,
well, also it's one of those things. I think
it's going to be one of those things where it can be called more often than you think. I don't think there's going to be. It's going to be like when the quarterback landing on the quarterback rule happened, and they fucking went after Clay Matthews. Remember that whole shit?
And Ndamukong Suh.
Suh. And I feel like that's going to be the same thing. They're going to pick a couple players that are normally really good at using this style of a tackle, using their weight to tackle somebody, and they're going to go till it is a talking point, and then everybody's going to have to go back and be like, we have to reassess how we tackle somebody. And that is, and I do think there'll be a game room for sure, my opinion.
Well, also, it's one of those things where how is a 5'10", 190-pound cornerback supposed to tackle Derrick Henry?
Right.
Like how? How does he do it?
That's... Anyway, all right, moving on. We got a lot to cover, so moving on.
My next one, my hot take is the Jets will be a team closer to the Pats this year than the Dolphins-Bills. I see so many analysts.
I agree with you on this one.
I agree with you on this talk one. Just being like penciling the Jets in as a division winner.
They had it the same as last year.
Yeah. Like, yes, the Jets went 7-10 last year with Zach Wilson, but guess what? Aaron Rodgers is coming off an injury into an offense that when he was with the Packers, yes, the Packers did good when Aaron Rodgers was there. They did better when he left. Like with the same talent and a bunch of rookies and a bunch of younger guys. And it was like the knock on Aaron Rodgers has been he's too cautious with the football. He throws the ball away. He doesn't buy time. He used to buy a lot of time in the pocket. Now he immediately throws the ball away. That's why this Aaron Rodgers stat of like, well, he never throws interceptions. He throws more touchdowns than interceptions. All I heard the offseason was it's actually good to throw interceptions because that means you're taking chances. So a guy on a Jets team that hasn't been good since a decade, since Sanchez and Rex Ryan teams, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's supposed to be like this older quarterback coming off an injury who never takes risk is going to light the league on fire and just be like this amazing quarterback and team in a division where there's always minimum 2 playoff caliber teams that are always fighting for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Now, I know the Bills are supposed to have a down year. Nobody believes in the Dolphins, but it's crazy how nobody believes in the Bills. Nobody believes in the Dolphins. But this complete unknown.
No, I don't trust Rodgers coming back from an injury. I just don't.
No.
And yes, he does good numbers, this and that, but when things start going south for him, which I think things will, you're still on the Jets, that things will go south and he's gonna get upset real fast.
Yeah. And again, Aaron Rodgers has been known to, battle against his coaching staff and change plays at the line and all that kind of stuff. And we've seen, again, unlike Tom Brady, where that was a thing he always did and it worked out. It's
and that's why Josh McDaniels was a bad head coach 2 times, is because Brady called the offense and Josh just looked pretty. Anyway, all right, so move me over to Casino 3. I know what it is. I know what you put there because it's piggyback. Yep.
Casino could read me like a book.
Aaron Rodgers is going to fall to another injury. And this is why, because last year, Leonard Floyd, defensive player for, at that time, the Buffalo Bills, was the one who tackled him, spun him, and had Aaron Rodgers tear his Achilles. Guess who Leonard Floyd went to in the offseason? He went to the Niners. Who do the Jets play in game 1? The Niners. How funny would that be? I just think it's a prophecy that Leonard Floyd is going to tear Aaron Rodgers' other Achilles. It
wouldn't be funny, Casino. We wish no injuries on any players, but it would be ironic.
That's what I'm getting at. That's where it'd be. Yeah, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him get injured. I've talked about that. I don't like when players get severely injured. I don't, even if it's Aaron Rodgers, but I think it would be really funny with the idea of Leonard Floyd now playing for the Niners and playing the Jets week 1 if that happened again.
Oh Lord.
That's a hot take. That's I wonder if there's gonna be odds on that.
That might get us canceled, Casino, but
I don't want to see it. But if it happened, I might giggle. Just out of the situation.
That is only coming from that side of the screen, this side of the screen.
I don't want it. I don't want it. If you watch my old podcast.
Waters, furious.
Yes, I know. I really did not want to see Rodgers get hurt, but it could happen. All right, continue. I got to help her.
So my hot take, Casino, also goes into what we were talking about when it comes to just teams that are all hype going into the season when there's really no reason for them to be. And that is why my hot take is the Bengals will be not bad, but a dumpster fire this season. And now this has to do partially with Burrow, because Burrow, not only is he coming off a injury that no quarterback has ever came off from, right? Not only is he injury prone, and definitely much like Rodgers, I don't want to see any players get injured, even the ones I don't like. I don't wish that on anybody, but he is injury prone. And we did this when we were looking at the preview in the AFC North. The Bengals last year, 31st in total defense, 26 against the pass, 26 against the rush. They have a weird running back room. There's some Jamar Chase issues with the contract.
No.
Joe Burrow's coming off an injury,
Fuck
so
this. Fuck this. Stupid hot take. Stupid
this
hot
is a
take.
hot take, but I think the Bengals, I don't think their defense will be good. Last year, when we saw Burrow in the few games he did play, he did not look good. They lost to a Steelers team that ended up missing the playoffs and just not being a very good team. So I think his division got good. I think who knows what this Bengals defense will be if it's all on the shoulders of Joe Burrow. I love him, but coming back from an injury like that, I don't know, Casino. But you have another team being a dumpster fire, and that is
I didn't say dumpster fire.
Well, you said the Bears hype train will be derailed. So
yeah, because people have the Bears going to the conference final championship.
Dude, I saw some people on TV saying the Bears are going to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, Caleb Williams was good in college. He's a great quarterback, probably one of the better quarterbacks, but everybody says it. The best quarterback coming out in a long time. Best quarterback coming out in a long time. Caleb Williams, I think, has a real chance of being that, better than a lot of the other quarterbacks that have that best quarterback in a long time kind of vibe. But you're still playing for the Bears. Yes, they got better, a lot better on paper, but you have to see them work together. You have to see them put it all together in a full game mode where you're not playing, because they did really good in the preseason, but that's preseason. I don't take any of that into consideration. But it's all going to come down to Caleb Williams. And until I see a quarterback, especially being a quarterback league, shout out to Tua, quarterback league, Caleb Williams has to show me that he is ready to play in the NFL. He just has to show me. I don't think he's going to have that kind of a season to where he's going to be bringing that team to the promised land. I just don't see it. So BJ, what I was just saying is, until Caleb Williams shows me that he can play in the NFL, I need to see it. I don't think this train's going to go anywhere. It's a new team. They have to play together, in actual games. Are they going to be good? Yeah, they're going to be a strong.
Neither of us have them making the playoffs.
Right. They're going to be a stronger team overall, but I need to see Caleb Williams, especially, you missed my Tua shout out, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Dang it. I said it's a quarterback league, shout out to Tua, that Caleb Williams has to prove himself. He just has to.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
If he comes out and he CJ Stroud's that shit, good for the Bears. Like, good.
But even CJ Stroud didn't get to the Super Bowl. Like, this insane thing where it's like the Bears are instantly going to become the best team in the NFC, and it's like,
from a player who won Rookie of the Year last year, and they didn't make, they didn't get to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
but every year we have the team that completely changes their team in free agency. As an Eagles fan, I distinctly remember the 2010 team being called the Dream Team because they assembled all these random free agency signings together, and then it was like the coach wasn't right, that team fell apart. Do we even know if the Bears coaches are good? No,
there's so much unknown, and until I see it, and I just feel like there's going to be so much hype for this. I mean, there already is so much hype for this team that there is a very high chance that this is all going to blow up in their face.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Seriously, I would love. I like the Bears. One of my closest friends growing up, my uncle, my best friend's dad, who's passed. Like, was a big Bear fan, and so I always had a special place for the Bears. I would love to see them do well. So I would like for them to prove me wrong, but I just have a feeling that it's gonna blow up in their face. That's my hot take.
Yeah, my hot take is very, very simple, because I did not want to spoil my Super Bowl pick. So my hot take number 2, we'll just get to it when we get to our Super Bowl matchup. That's a
bitch out.
A tease. Casino, your number 1 hottest take. is that the Commanders will be playoff bound with the rookie of the year being Jaden Daniels. Explain yourself.
Well, first off, Jaden Daniels is very close. I mean, this will cover my rookie of the year pick. Jaden Daniels is the second best odds to win rookie of the year behind Caleb Williams. I mean, he's even over Marvis Harrison Jr. By plus 200. So it's Caleb Williams for the most. Like, we're just going to go off of what do we see here? I'm going to go off BetMGM. That's going to be the main one that they have up for this bet. Caleb Williams is at plus 130, and Jaden Daniels is at plus 500. Then Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 700, Bo Nix, and then Malik Neighbors. So I picked Jaden Daniels because that is going to be a fair outside of the Eagles. That is, I don't trust that division to be a strong division. I think I'm about to say Leonard Floyd. I had that pulled up. I think Jaden Daniels can really impress in that division. I think the Commanders, we've talked about it. I think the Commanders are going to be a much better team. I think that they're going to be that sneaky team where people are going to get their heads turned and be like, whoa, where did they come from? I like their coaches that they brought in and they have in. I like the players and the pieces they brought in. I think Jaden Daniels, taking the pressure off of him, he's not Caleb Williams. You know, he's not expected to be the best thing since freaking sliced bread. He's going to Washington that people are already going to be like, oh, they're going to be better. But, you know, they're still Washington. I really think he's going to turn heads. He's going to surprise some people. I think his numbers, they got a fairly easier schedule. I think that he's going to win some games. He's going to put up some numbers to get himself to beat Caleb Williams, because I think Caleb Williams is going to have a little bit tougher time taking the Bears with his hype. And I got to see it. Again, I want to see him do it. But I have a feeling that it's not going to happen this season where he's going to be the best thing. I really do think Jaden Daniels can pull this off as coming out of the gate as rookie of the year, putting up the numbers to make that happen. And with doing so, I think they finish second in the division. I think they finish over the Cowboys. I think they finish over why am I blanking?
Giants.
Obviously. The Giants. So irrelevant. Giants. They're going to beat the Cowboys and they're going to beat the Giants. I do have the Eagles winning that division, but
they also the Commanders, even when they were the Redskins, they no matter how good or bad their team is, they beat the Eagles at least once a year. It's just
I don't think this is a crazy off the wall pick. A lot of people saying that they're not going to even be playoff bound. I think they make the playoffs. I think that spot that everybody's going to have, like that people have, like for the Cowboys, like whatnot. I think the Commanders are going to pull that out. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
That's a good hot take. Now, Casino, I need you to get some ice. I need you to be ready for my number one, my hottest take. This is the hottest take. I grinded the all 22.
We've got to move on. We got to keep going. Let's go. Let's hear it. We've got a lot to get covered.
This is now again. I'm going to show this to you guys. Give me 2 to 3 minutes to make my case. Okay, my hottest take is that both the Chargers and the Rams win the 2 West divisions. Okay, this is my hottest take. Let me make the case why Casino makes a face.
The Rams, I don't get. The Chargers, I can see.
So for the Chargers, who, Casino, my mind is escaping me. Who is their new head coach?
For the Chargers? Yeah. It's Harbaugh.
It's Jim Harbaugh, correct? It's Jim Harbaugh. Hey, what has Jim Harbaugh done at every single place he has gone?
He goes win, no matter what.
Not only one, he has gone into the dominant force in whatever conference, division, college, NFL, whatever realm he has gone into. When he went to Stanford, big dog on campus was USC. Guess what? He went in there and punched Pete Carroll and the USC Trojans right in their mouths. Immediately asserted himself as the new top dog or on the level of the top dog at Stanford when he was at USC. So then he goes to the 49ers, and what does he do? He immediately takes the Seahawks, punches them in the mouth, and now all of a sudden he's the big dog on campus, and their team is going to the Super Bowl, a couple plays away from going back-to-back Super Bowls, right? Again, big dog on campus, USC, big dog on campus, Seattle, walked in both of them. Now at Michigan, it took a little longer, but college football's harder because you got to recruit, you got to do all that stuff. He went into Ohio State. He lost a lot, but eventually when he got all his pieces in place, he punched Ohio State in the mouth and then won a national championship. So now all we have to believe is that he's going to do the exact same thing, which is go into the number one big dog on campus, punch them into the mouth, assert his dominance, and he's done that his entire career.
I'm not upset. I mean, if you look at it, I'm not upset. I have the Chargers as one of my wild cards. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
The Rams, though, I don't get you. You're going to have to sell me hard on this. Dude, I think Aaron Donald not being there is going to be a massive hole for this team.
Yes.
Regardless how I like their quarterback,
Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford. I like Stafford a lot. I don't see this team being able to overcome the absence of Aaron Donald. I just don't see it.
So when we get to our playoff picks, I still have the Chiefs in the playoffs. So I'm not insane. I'm not saying that. So we'll get to that in a moment. But with the Rams, I think we just overlook so much how grading and how much wear and tear going on a deep playoff push makes your team. And for the San Francisco 49ers last year, all their super injury prone players either missed few games or missed no games. So after a longer season of wear and tear, we think McCaffrey, Kittle, Deebo Samuel, everybody on that team is just again going to stay healthy, again play at their peak, and again just go right back to the Super Bowl. Again, we're talking about a guy I've talked enough shit about on this podcast, but I can still admit he's a great coach in Kyle Shanahan. But on his level of greatness is Sean McVay, right? And the Rams organization has been nothing but a top tier organization since he got there, put his people in, the GM, everybody. Then they get Stafford, they go win a Super Bowl. Last year, they got hit with the injury bug. So now Tua's back. He's a little, or I'm sorry, not Tua, Puka Nacua is a little banged up, but he's not going to be hurt the whole season. He's going to be a little banged up to begin the season, but Cooper Kupp's back, the Triple Crown wide receiver. Their defense, again. Yeah,
he's back after missing time. And whenever do receivers have the same out, like, you don't see them, they'll still be good, but you don't see them having their Triple Crown kind of seasons every season. I think that time has passed.
We didn't think Cooper Kupp could do it when he did do it. So why are we just discounting a guy that when he's at full health, which he appears to be, is the best wide receiver in the league nobody talks about?
They put up points. Is their defense going to allow that?
I'm so glad you asked about that.
Is their defense going to allow them to stay on the field long?
Because last year, if I correct me if I'm wrong, Casino, last year they did have Aaron Donald on their team, did they not?
Yes.
So last year they were 20th in total defense, 20th against the pass, 12th against the run. So it's not like they were a number one.
So those
defense.
Numbers drop. Those numbers are about to drop exponentially.
But we don't know that because now
we don't know that. How do we not know that? A two-time defensive player of the year. Come on, man.
They have a new defensive coordinator, Chris Shula, who was the linebacker coach and pass rush coordinator. What if all of a sudden he's just a really great
What if? We know what Aaron Donald was. What if? You're asking what ifs.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing hot takes. We're doing what ifs.
Right,
so what if, again, all these things, they were still a 10-7 team last year.
It's not such a spicy take.
These are hot takes. Now, Casino. I said we could do our bottom fives. I don't think we're gonna have time. We just think all the bad teams are gonna be bad.
We can just say them.
So Casino's pick for top 5 bottom teams.
Pats, Panthers, Giants, Titans, Broncos.
And let me get to mine. Yeah, I don't think any of those are controversial, except apparently Broncos. Everybody thinks Broncos are going to be good. I don't see it, but maybe Bo Nix is good. Who knows?
A lot of people have the Commanders being one of the worst teams. I don't agree.
Yeah, I don't either. I put a little bit similar to yours, but I put Patriots, Panthers, Giants, Saints, Raiders. I think Saints, Raiders are going to be
Saints fit and I can see the Raiders and Saints being in there, but anyway. All right,
Casino. Now it is time for what everybody's here for, and that
MVPs.
Is what?
Oh, I thought we were doing MVP.
No, we are doing your NFC teams first, Casino, and then we'll go
look
to
at
mine.
That. Look at you.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. My son's about to wake up. My wife's almost home. This is all ending out perfectly. All right, Casino's NFC teams.
So you have the Lions as the number 1 seed, followed by the Eagles, Falcons, and 49ers.
To win their divisions out, yes.
All right, make the case for each briefly.
Okay, Lions, their toughest competition is going to not the Bears. It's going to be the Packers, and a lot of people have the Packers being the number 1 for that division. And you know what? I'm not mad. I think that's a solid argument for people, especially if Jordan Love can play how he played and now getting paid, and maybe that boosts him. But I don't see. We talked about it last podcast. I don't see how the Lions, who were great last year in every facet of the game, only getting better, how they could not be the number 1 overall seed. I just can't see how that's not possible. I just don't. I just can't. Eagles, I see it because the Commanders are going to be better. I have them making. We'll get to that, making the wild card. But the Cowboys, I think they're going to be a dumpster fire, especially with CD getting paid and Dak having now issues, vocally having issues with Jerry Jones. And then the Giants, as I alluded to, one of my top 5 worst teams. Falcons, everybody that they acquired, I love Kirk Cousins. You know this. He's the best. Even my wife loves him after they did the quarterback show on Netflix last year. She was like, oh, he's such a dweeb, and I love it. He's great. He's such a dork. I love Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to do really well. Yes, he's coming off of injury, but the rest of that team is going to be outstanding, that I think that he can pull that off, especially in a weaker division. The Bucs are going to be good because I think a lot of people are overlooking how the Bucs are going to do. Niners coming out of that division. I like your hot takes, but I don't. The Niners, I still think, especially with them keeping Brandon Ayuk.
And they re-signed Trent Williams today as well.
And Trent Williams finally got signed. And yes, I do know that McCaffrey is coming off an injury, but he always comes off an injury, and he's still always really good. So that's one that I don't have to ever worry about whenever McCaffrey comes back from an injury and you have to question, oh, is he going to be good? Every injury that he's had, every time he comes back, he's elite. So I have no issues with him coming back off of injury. I think he's still going to be absolutely stellar. So Niners win. There we go.
All right. Now let's move on to my NFC teams, Casino, which are the same except
for your hot take.
Yeah, just switch out Rams and 49ers.
You just hate the Niners. That's
well, no, I'm just saying everybody's acting like there's the Super Bowl hangover isn't real, even though it happens every year, and then people are shocked by it.
That's going to be real. I just don't see them doing it.
Well, I still think we'll get to them in a second, but I still see them in the playoffs, just not winning their division. I agree with you, however, that I do see the Lions be the number 1 seed. I see Eagles being right behind them. Falcons, I mean, I agree with your wife when it comes to Kirk Cousins. He's so
likable.
He's had a whole season, a whole off season to wear his little helmet thing he does that makes his reads process faster. So that's a lot more helmet time for Kirk Cousins. Who knows? He's going to come back as half AI, half Kirk Cousins.
And he might have gotten the tan too. I mean, so now when he takes off his shirt and wears all of his chains, he'll actually not blind me. Yeah. I don't know what was more blinding, the chains that he was wearing or his body. So.
And we are one to talk about that. So,
I am so white. This is
And
not a
then
shirt.
Rams, I just made the case for them in my hot takes. I just think the Rams are going to be really good. I trust Sean McVay, and they're not coming off Super Bowl hangover. They also might have found another rookie wide receiver who just lights them up, so I think they're going to be explosive. Next up, Casino, you had your wild card teams as the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and the Washington Commanders. We heard the case for Washington, so make the case for...
why not the Cowboys? Yep.
Yes, so make the case for Green Bay and Tampa.
Well, Green Bay, I truly do think they're going to have a good season. The more I'm looking into that team, yes, honey. Okay, I'll help you. Give me 1 second. I really think that this team is going to be better than I even think they were. It all comes down to Jordan Love.
Yes,
but I think I'm falling more on the line of Jordan Love's going to pull this off. I do. So. I like what the Packers are doing. I think they'll do it. The Bucks, I think everybody's just not paying attention to them. I think Baker Mayfield down there having a full season with his team and not coming in partial and, coming in off the bench. I really think now that it's firmly in his grasp that he's going to be able to handle this and it's going to be close. It's going to be close, but I think he's going to get it. Yes, honey. My wife's almost home, so she wants to look out the window and she needs help putting up the blinds.
There you go.
Continue. Go.
Yeah. So my pick for wild cards, similar to Casinos, I do think, however, it's going to be switched around a little. I think the 49ers, again, I've made my case for the Rams over the 49ers, which is I think the 49ers, I don't wish, again, any injuries, but I just think what we saw last year is the outlier compared to what they always are, which is an injury-ridden team to their superstars. So I think a couple of those guys go down. Again, McCaffrey goes down, Debo goes down, Kittle goes down. That changes what this 49ers team is. We even saw in the Super Bowl, a couple of their defensive guys went down. So again, I just think more wear and tear on this team's body after a long season last year. And again, also you can't discount the drama in the offseason kind of being a cloud over this team. I know everybody's happy and got paid now, but still a little dissension. They say they're all together, but again, I don't buy it. With Tampa Bay, basically what Casino said, I agree with. Baker, another full season under his belt.
I love that both of our hot takes are the only things that mess up our picks.
Yeah. Well, because I think also the NFC being such a weak conference, opens the door up for a Bucs team coming from, again, a weak division in the NFC South. And then the Green Bay Packers, I argued with the guy the entire weekend in our comments, acting like I think the Packers are going to be a bad team. No, I just don't think they're going to be as good as the Lions, but they have the youngest team in the league. I like all their weapons.
And look what they did last year with the youngest team in the league, with a quarterback that only had a half a good season.
Yeah, so I think
there's a big upside for this Green Bay Packers team.
I just don't think they're better than the Lions.
Because I don't think any team's better than the Lions.
No, when we did the NFC North preview, the Lions have a top 5 in everything offensively and defensively.
Last year, and that was last year, and they got even better.
And they didn't lose anybody, didn't lose any coaches, signed a couple good free agents. The Lions are better, but the Packers are right there. Who knows? Maybe next year we'll pick the Packers over the Lions. But possibly. Next up, Casino, let's move over to the AFC. You have the Chiefs as the number 1 seed, followed by Bills, Ravens, Texans. What order would you put these in? Number 1 seed you do think is Chiefs.
Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, Bills.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I have it. So I have the Chiefs until the Chiefs lose. It's that whole Tom Brady thing. Until Tom and Bill lose, I can't bet against it. Until the double defending Super Bowl champions in Kansas City trying to do history and do the three-peat, until they lose with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, I can't bet against them to not be the number 1 in the AFC. I just can't.
Yeah.
For the regular season. Bills. It's going to be between the Bills and the Dolphins because I just don't see the Jets. And I agree with you. The Jets are going to be closer to the Patriots than the other two. By the way, did you get my picks wrong here.
No.
Go. Continue. Go.
Well,
Yep.
are
So sorry. My hot takes. All right, continue. Yes. So yeah, that's what do you want me to elaborate on there, sir?
no,
Sorry.
Ravens Texans makes sense. Let's go to mine, Casino. Ours are very different in the AFC for it when it comes to teams. I think the Ravens will end up being the number 1 seed again because again, I think the difference between the Chiefs and the Ravens is the Chiefs are a very regular season focused team, and then they kind of shit the bed in the playoffs, where I think it's flipped for the Chiefs. The Chiefs, my case against the Chiefs this year, they've been telling us all offseason. Travis Kelce's been talking about it. Mahomes has been talking about it. Reed has been talking about it. They've been talking about how their emphasis is not on the regular season, it's in the playoffs. Last year, they showed they don't need home field advantage through the playoffs. They went on the road the entire way through the playoffs, still made their way to the Super Bowl, still won it. So this notion that the Chiefs are just going to be 15-1 during the regular season and just coast to the Super Bowl, it's like the Chiefs themselves are telling you they're not going to put emphasis on the regular season. So again, they're also doing something that has never been done, not in the past decade, not in the past 20 years, in the history of the NFL. Now, again, we've had teams and dynasties before in the NFL that have never done what the Chiefs are attempting to go for, that we thought without a shadow of a doubt, we thought in the 90s, we thought the Cowboys were this unbeatable team that would go win every Super Bowl every year. Then we thought it was the 49ers in the 80s. In the 2000s and 2010s, we thought it was the Patriots that would just always win every Super Bowl. But then when you look back at it, they have their peak and then they start going down a little and it slips slightly and then they just fall off a cliff, every single one of these teams. So again, in the Brady Patriots era, there was a 10-year period where they weren't in the Super Bowl or they weren't winning them, right? It's like they were getting there and losing, or they were losing early in the playoffs. So for the Chiefs, nobody has made a compelling case to me why the Chiefs are such a better team than all those Patriots teams thought would win 10 Super Bowls in a row. The reason they didn't is because it's really hard. And other teams get good. You slip up once in a playoff game, you go home. We saw it again in the Chiefs-Patriots game. All it took was an offsides to prevent the Chiefs from going to the Super Bowl. Like, little things here and there are what happens that stop teams' momentum. Now, again, when it comes to the Dolphins, I just think they're the best team in the AFC East. I think the Bills are going to have a down year. I don't think the Patriots are going to do anything. And we made the case earlier against why I think the Jets are just going to be, for lack of a better terms, a dumpster fire and closer to the Patriots than the Dolphins and Bills. Texans, you can basically say the same thing about them as you say for the Packers, but in the AFC. Really young team, really unknown last year, exploded on the scene. There's no reason to think every young player on that team doesn't get better. And then the Ravens, led by the MVP, they've always been always a great regular season team. The question for them is the playoffs. Casino, now we move on to your AFC wildcard teams. You have the Bengals, Dolphins, and Chargers. So really, the only team we differ on being in the playoffs is the Bengals. So make the case for the Bengals because, as I said earlier, I think they're going to be a dumpster fire.
I don't. How do you see the Bengals being a dumpster fire? They're going to be a good team. Joe Burrow's coming back healthy. He had no business playing last year. Zilch. And he had two different injuries. He had the leg injury, and then he had the hand injury. He should not have been playing. We all know that. And they still had a decent season. Jamar Chase is waiting for him to come back. He's drooling to have his boy back on the field. And that hairdo, that's got me fired up. He looks like a Bengal. He's excited.
I didn't pick. I should have thought of the haircut when I picked the Bengals to go to the playoffs.
Dude, that's edgy,
that's
man.
Right. That's why I left it off.
That's edgy. No, he looks great. I really, really like I really like the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow is going to have a really good bounce back year. I have trouble. I have trouble with you not thinking the same thing. But the Chargers all day. I love that team. We've been on that team for so long. I know you hate Justin Herbert. I know you can't stand him. However, I really do think with Harbaugh coming in, he's won at every level. He is outstanding. You know, he's finally, as he alluded to, he can now sit at the big kid table at Thanksgiving because he's won a title, which I thought was funny, that whole interview where he was the only one out of his dad and brother that he was not able to sit at the big kid table during Thanksgiving, but now he can. He's outstanding. I love that coach. Michigan brought him in to turn that organization around, and oh boy did he. Out of a fluke from TCU 2 years ago, they could have been back-to-back title winners. Yep. It truly could have been. Dolphins, I just don't think there's any other teams in the AFC that I could think of that I don't trust the Rams like you do.
Well, the Rams are in the NFC.
Or not the Rams. Who did you have that I'm missing?
I had the AFC. I had the Chiefs, Bills, and Jags.
Got it. Jags. No. I know Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I'm still mad at him for being our MVP pick last year. Didn't work out. Screw him. But I think the Dolphins are going to do well enough because no matter how much Tua talks shit and all this, you still have Tyreek Hill, and until that man stops breaking records, and he finally loses, a couple miles per hour in his freaking run, I can't bet against him to not at least make the playoffs, especially when they're going to beat up on the Bills or beat up on the Jets and beat up on the Patriots. There's 4 wins for you right there.
Yeah.
And any team going down into Miami, every team struggles to play in Florida. It's just what it is. Yeah. Even Florida State struggles to play in Florida.
I just alluded to my AFC wildcard teams. I have the Chiefs as the best of the wildcard teams just because, like Casino said, I think Harbaugh comes in there. Again, the issue with the Chargers.
Chiefs? You mean Andy Reid just being too good?
No, Jim Harbaugh being too good.
Oh, and the Chargers beating the Chiefs. Fair enough.
Yes.
Got it.
And I think, again, the Chiefs' focus, they've said multiple times, is the offseason. They don't care about the regular season. They don't need to go 15-1 to make it to the Super Bowl in the playoffs. So I think there's going to be a couple games they lose during the regular season just because
my kids
they always do.
Keep talking.
I do think the Bills, this is the last gasp for the Bills. I also think it's the last gasp of Josh Allen to really show what basically everybody thinks about him, which is he wasn't a good quarterback until he got Stephon Diggs, and then he got other weapons because apparently, again, every quarterback is not allowed to have weapons because then the argument against them being good or bad is based on the weapons they have. And then everybody goes, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have weapons. Yeah, he also has the best potentially the greatest offensive-minded coach in the history of the NFL. He also went to a team that was a 10-win team with Alex Smith before he even stepped on the field. So again, he might not have weapons, but he also has the greatest offensive coach in the league. Oh, also, he did have weapons. He had Tyreek Hill, and then last year he didn't, and that's why everybody's picking him to win the Super Bowl again this year because now he actually does have weapons with Hollywood Brown and Worthy out of Texas. So I just think the case for the Jags, I agree with Casino that us picking Trevor Lawrence last year was dumb and really came back to bite us in the ass. But just going through all the stats and everything with the Jaguars, I just think last year, again, I'm just banking on it being a bad year because, again, last year, 13th in the league in total offense, 22nd in the league in total defense. They got a new defensive coordinator who came over from the Falcons. Falcons had a much, much better defense last year. So if they're able to bring that whole thing. Also, I have Brian Thomas Jr., their first-round wide receiver pick, in every fantasy league I've done. So I just hope he pops off, has a great season. The Jaguars are back again in a weak conference with a bunch of mystery teams. So yeah, I'm picking. Those are my wildcard teams. Now, Casino. Let's move on to our Super Bowl pick. Yours, you've already alluded to in past episodes, and in this episode, you have the Super Bowl being the Lions versus the Ravens. Who's winning that one?
I have the Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Woo!
I have the Lions finally getting it done. I really do. I mean, as long as they don't pull a Dan, they're all good.
Yeah. So you have who in the AFC Championship? You have Chiefs, Ravens, and then Ravens finally topping them?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. This goes back to my hot take number 2, which is it just said see my Super Bowl matchup. My Super Bowl matchup, it's going to be a repeat. That's what my hot take is going to be because again,
Homer,
we never have Super Bowl matchups that either we haven't seen or that everybody's hyped to see, right? Look at last year. Last year, everybody was like, can't wait for that Ravens-Lions Super Bowl. Didn't happen. We got a repeat of a Super Bowl we've already seen, and then the same outcome happened, where it was 49ers Chiefs again. We made videos about how nobody wanted that Super Bowl. And my Super Bowl pick this year, I think it's going to be the Eagles, and I think it's going to be the Chiefs. I think the Eagles-Lions go into the NFC Championship game, and the Eagles pull it out. And then it's going to be the Chiefs. Because, again, they're going to be a team that...
This isn't hot takes. This isn't hot takes anymore.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I have the Chiefs as a wild card team. Everybody's going to be talking so much shit about them. And then they're going to be like, is this the year the Chiefs finally don't go to the Super Bowl? And then they're going to play 3 games. They're going to turn it on. It's going to look like a completely different team, go all the way to the Super Bowl. And then as an Eagles fan, I cannot take them losing another Super Bowl. So do I think they will win? Sure.
No.
Sure, I want them to win. But again, I will not bet against anybody against the Chiefs in the offseason or in the postseason or in the regular season. I think they'll be a wild card team because they just won't give a shit about the regular season and save all their good plays.
I just don't think they're going to be
all their energy.
Oh man, I don't know, man.
I just think, again, the Lions, being a Lions fan, being an Eagles fan, being a Vikings fan, it's just endless pain. So the endless pain has stages, and this will be another stage.
At some point.
But does it? The Eagles won a Super Bowl.
But what you're saying is the Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs conference final is going to come down to a hip drop tackle. That's what you're saying.
I mean, if it does, this podcast, everybody will be calling us Nostradamus.
Oh, yeah.
Last bit before we get out of here, Casino. Let's go to your Rookie of the Year. We already mentioned it. We don't really have to harp on it. You just picked Jaden Daniels for the reasons.
Jaden Daniels, he's number 2 in the polls right now, and I trust him and the Commanders having a better season than maybe not a better season, but yeah, having a better season than the Bills and Caleb Williams. I think the hype's going to be too much for Caleb to handle.
Yeah. I completely disagree. My Rookie of the Year is just Caleb Williams. He's already being talked about as the best quarterback in Bears history. There's already analysts being like,
"You're forgetting Jay Cutler. You're forgetting about Jay Cutler. Come on, our boy."
But all I'm saying is he literally has to start all 17 games and throw more. He could throw 25 touchdowns and 24 picks, and they're still going to pick him as the Rookie of the Year. Basically, he just has to start all the games. They can go 1-15, and he'll still win Rookie of the Year. It's going to happen. As far as MVP, Casino, you picked C.J. Stroud. Why did you pick C.J. Stroud?
Because I think he's going to piggyback off of last year. As you see, I have the Texans doing very well this season. I have them winning their division. I have them doing very well. I could even see this. And my son agrees. I could even see this team upsetting potentially either the Ravens or the Chiefs, and to make the conference championship game. I like CJ Stroud. I think he's going to go Rookie of the Year, 2 MVP of the year. He's going to put up numbers. This division is very weak. I I don't see how he can't be as good as he was last year, if not better. I just can't see it. I think it's a strong pick. I like CJ. He's big. He's got a good team behind him now. They've put a lot into him. Again, weak division, fairly easier. If I recall right, fairly easier season for the Texans. I think he pulls it off. I think he gets that MVP.
Yeah. And mine, I was thinking, and I was like, my number 1 seed is the Ravens. They're not going to give it to Lamar Jackson again. I don't think Jared Goff has enough respect in the league to be given the MVP. I don't think they would give it to Jalen Hurts, also because I didn't want to be a homer and get and have to make that case. So I just went chalk. Patrick Mahomes.
Gross.
He doesn't, they just never give him MVP. I'm looking up how many times he's won it. I feel like this will be one of those things where he'll win this year because of what he did last year. So he has only won, I believe, 1 MVP. Or no, he's won 2 but he hasn't won it since 2022. This will technically be the 2024-2025 season, so he hasn't won it in 2 years. I really do think the Chiefs are going to have a down year this year, but Mahomes is going to be so incredible that they're going to be like, we have to give it to him. He's the best quarterback in the league.
Okay, but you have – all right, let me counter that real quick, though. You have the Chargers beating the Chiefs for the division, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you have him playing games where he's not going to win. Yes, he might put up stats, but ultimately you need wins to be considered.
Well, I still think they're going to be a 10-11 win team. I just think the Chargers are going to be better. But this is one of those things where
I think I honestly think the Texans will have the Texans might have no, I don't.
I was going to go again. I wanted to go Lamar Jackson again, but I don't
I think the Texans might be like a game behind the Chiefs, but I think the numbers that Stroud's going to be able to put up in a weaker division, he's going to have more touchdown to interception ratio is going to be much better. His numbers are going to be cleaner. His QBR is going to be higher. That's just my take on it. I obviously throwing it out there, having Mahomes as the MVP is not wild by any take. Especially everything that he does. But I'm just going to go off of numbers-wise. I think Stroud, with an easier division, with an easier schedule, is going to put up higher numbers and have a couple blowout games probably where those numbers are going to help him to win this MVP.
Yeah, last year Mahomes only threw 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. The years he won MVP, he threw 50 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
Jeez, 50 touchdowns.
And then 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So again, I think if he could potentially have a 40-10 season again, I think they're going to be like.
But see, that's what I think Stroud. That's what I think Stroud's going to have easily.
Well, we'll see, Casino. So just to recap, here. In the NFC, I have the Lions as the number 1 seed, followed by the Eagles, Rams, Falcons, with the 49ers, Packers, and Buccaneers being my wildcard teams. Casino has also the Lions being the number 1 seed, followed by the Eagles, 49er, Falcons winning their divisions, and then the Packers, Commanders, Bucks being the wildcard teams. On the AFC side, Casino has the Chiefs as the number 1 seed. I have the Ravens. Followed by the Dolphins, Chargers, Texans, with the wildcard teams being the Chiefs, Bills, Jaguars. Casino has the Chiefs being the number 1 seed, followed by the Ravens, Texans, Bills, Bengals, Chargers, and Dolphins. I have an Eagles versus Chiefs Super Bowl. My heart wants me to pick the Eagles. My credibility says it's going to be the Chiefs again. They're going to make history. It's going to annoy everyone. And then Casino has a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl, which we should have got last year, where the Lions are going to win.
It's going to happen this year. The fans want it. I quick note on that. I think that the backlash of obviously Niners Chiefs was great. Everybody wanted that. But there was so many people, and now it's known by Roger Goodell that Ravens-Lions was wanted. I think he makes it happen.
Ooh.
Or lets it happen. Makes it happen, lets it happen. He doesn't control He doesn't
People
control.
don't like when you go conspiracy theory, which I don't understand because we see
It's
it
not a
all the
conspiracy
time.
theory. The players hate him. The players think that this is true. Players in the NFL think this is true. Like, come on.
Odds Casino that the Chiefs do make history and win a third Super Bowl in a row, first time ever. Because I think at this point it's like an 80% chance of it happening.
65.
God, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be the
worst.
On that note, this is the end of one of our longer, especially recent Only Sports podcast. We went an hour and a half. We had a lot to cover.
We needed to talk about that college football.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more college football as well as make our week 1 NFL picks on Thursday, this hours before NFL kickoff with the Ravens and Chiefs. Our 2 Super Bowl picks to go into the AFC.
It's the AFC conference final.
Preview, I'm assuming that the Ravens take this one and then the Chiefs get their revenge. That's how I see it playing out.
But you're so right.
Yeah, NFL. We're recording this on a Tuesday. Starts in 2 days. Crazy, we're already here. But anything to say before we get out of here, Casino?
I'm excited for college football playoffs already. I love this format.
Also, yeah, I'm a Eagles homer. We had to listen to a 10-minute UNLV hot take earlier in the podcast.
But it's relevant. It's relevant. People are talking about it. And if they can pull off the Kansas rematch upset, then it's not a hot take. It's a reality.
We should go to some of those games without our children, so that way we don't have to worry about Ubering. This has been the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino. We'll see you back here in 2 days to make our Week 1 picks for the NFL season.
Week 1.
Crazy. Adios.
Okay, put it up on the counter and then go watch your show or go play in your room. I love you so much. You've been such a good girl today.
Now tell me I've been a good girl.
You've been a bad boy.
3.
That needs to make it in the show.